The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the Full Melt Show.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
Give me a break.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Yes, indeed, we are coming to you live from the PetPain.com studios, where today, ladies and gentlemen, today, I bring to you justice from the gods. I bring to you weed from the sky. I bring to you this Fox News report of marijuana falling from the sky.
Watch the runway explode with music and fashion.
No.
Rocks the
How
Runway,
can you screw that all up?
Presented by Alexis
No.
Toledo
I'm not listening to your stupid commercial.
on
Weed
Friday,
falling.
October 9th.
I said weed falling from the sky. I'm just going to ad-lib for 20 seconds now because they're going to make us listen to this stupid, I don't know, runway model BS commercial. I say I bring you justice from the gods. In Texas, we have weed falling from the sky. This report from Fox News. Check it out right now.
An Arizona family waking up to what sounded like thunder, but it was actually $10,000 worth of marijuana. Look at that, falling from the sky, crashing through their carport, and then landing on top of the doghouse. Police say drug smugglers from Mexico likely dropped the 26-pound bundle from an airplane on accident. The family's dog was not in the doghouse at the time, thank goodness.
Wait a minute. Now, I know this is really confusing. I mean, okay, 1 minute, it's a calm Texas evening. The next minute, there's this thunderous crash, and you look out at your carport, which is now made, I don't know, can I say it's made holy? Because it's got a big hole in it. Made holy by a bale of marijuana from the sky. I mean, this is better than winning the Texas lottery, isn't it? I mean, the dog was not in the little... Okay, there's a little... It wasn't even a dog house. It was one of those pet carriers. And they had the pet carrier under the carport. So, I mean, I don't know what it was doing out there. But this thing made a beeline dead center for the top of this pet carrier. Now, thank goodness there wasn't anybody in the pet carrier or any animal in the pet carrier. So no people or animals were harmed in the making of this hilarious news article. But it seems as though some people, probably lesser than desirable, I'm sure Donald Trump is on this story big. I'm sure we're going to hear Donald Trump talk about how those dirty Mexicans flew some stuff across the Texas border and missed their target by a mile, nearly killing a pooch. I can hear it now. I mean, okay, so you imagine that you're out there that morning and you look outside and there's a thing that's happened to your carport. And you're like, what the hell is that? The blue ice? You know about the blue ice, don't you? Sometimes and I don't know how it happens. Nobody ever claims that it came from their plane. But sometimes they'll get, you know the stuff that they put in the bottom of the porta potty? The blue gelatinous, liquidy, stink killer, disinfectant stuff? They have the same thing that they sometimes put on, like large-scale yachts or motorhomes. They put that there in there sometimes to keep the stink down so when you flush, it's not so horrible. Because, in a house, you've got that little S thing. You know, that little, what do they call that? The grease trap thing. It's really not a grease trap. It's a stink trap. It's designed because water stays in that little U-shaped cup. But when you put water in it, it all still goes down, right? But that little water barrier keeps the stink from going up the thing. That's why they put that little S-shaped thing in the plumbing on the drainage, like in a bathtub or in a toilet, because all that sewer odor would just come up there if you didn't. Now, how to get lost in that? Oh, yeah, the blue ice. So in one of these, like if you do this in a the bathrooms in airplanes and in motorhomes, you know, they don't really have the whole S-trap thing going on because there's not a lot of flowing water. You're trying to minimize your use of water in these environments, obviously for weight reasons, for fuel reasons, for transportability reasons. I mean, just for feasibility and overall travel's sake, you don't want a lot of water flow because water's heavy. It takes a lot of it, and then it's going to increase costs. It makes it cost burdensome. It makes it unfeasible to do. So you've got these low water flow systems which sometimes incorporate this blue, disinfectant stuff. And so they use it in the planes and they use it in the motorhomes, and so sometimes this blue stuff will end up ejected from a plane, and it's happened over and over again, where the blue stuff comes out and it freezes in the midair as a big giant poopsicle. It's a big blue Smurf poopsicle flying through the air. and then some poor schmuck in some place gets the poop storm. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's hilarious. So now, this you might think at some level is your befallence of the poop storm. I mean, that's what I would think. Oh, no, the jet poop. Or either that, I'd be like, call those guys that hunt down the meteorites. Call the meteorite men because I've got one that hit my carport. I'm going to be 100,000 air or something. Probably or something. But then you go out and you check it out and you're like, oh, no, it's way, way better than a smoking meteorite. It's so much better than the blue ice. I'm glad it is not the poopsicle. Look, that looks like a bale of illegal contraband. Let's open it up and investigate, shall we? Oh, look. It's Mary Jane. She's come to visit. Thanks for dropping in, Mary Jane. You're worth about $10,000, according to the news report. I mean, I don't know. Is it worth reading the news report to you at this point? Because I'm just so overwhelmingly amused with the idea of it. You know for a fact that Trump's going to say something about this. You know he is. I will bet you. I don't know. I will get some kind of big prize from some grow place and offer it up as a prize to somebody. I don't know. How am I going to do? I'm trying to put some stakes in the game here. I'm trying to say, look, I'll give you this if I'm wrong about that. But then who do I give it to? Because I only got one. How am I going to give it to everybody? I can't do that. I don't know. I want to put my name on the line here over this idea. For sure, Trump's going to say something about the illegal Mexicans flying weed over the border and missing their target and nearly killing a dog, which didn't exist, because it's just a booch carrier with a big-ass bundle of weed in it. It is now effectively a weed carrier. Maya Donnelly is her name. She awoke to what sounded like a thunder in the early morning hours, but dismissed it as a typical monsoon storm and went back to sleep. Huh? Later that morning, she looked in the carport at her home in Nogales. And it's, Nogales, near the Mexican border. It's Nogales, New Mexico, isn't it? It's near the U.S.-Mexican border. Where is it? Is it New Mexico? I think Nogales is in Arizona. Where is it? Where's Nogales at? I don't know. I think it's. I don't know. I have to figure it out. Near the U.S.-Mexico border, saw pieces of wood on the ground. She found a bulky bundle wrapped in a plastic bag. Thank God it's not the blue ice. Inside, roughly 26 pounds of weed, a package that authorities say was about worth $10,000, likely. It was dropped there accidentally by a drug smuggler's aircraft. Somebody definitely made a mistake. And who knows what the outcome of that mistake might have been for them. It's all right on top of our dog's house, Donnelly said of the September 8th incident, which was first reported by the Nogales International newspaper. It just made a perfectly round hole through our carport. Living near the border, Donnelly said she assumed the object was drugs. She immediately called her husband, Bill, who told her to call 911. Honey, we've been raided by the weed package from the southern border. Nogales Police Chief Derek Arnson. Derek, come on, Derek. Let's go find out what happened over there at their residence. Said the first time in his 3-year tenure, he's been on the job a long time, hasn't he? That he's ever seen a load of drugs hit a building. I'm sure that, come on, think real hard. There's never been a car you were chasing, a truck you were chasing where it ran into a building and it was loaded with drugs? Really? Are you thinking really clearly there? Are you sure that you didn't get some of those drugs out of there and, do some of those drugs and forget all about the load of drugs that hit the building just from the side and not from the top? I'm sure something's happened like that before. Come on, we don't believe you already there, Mr. Police Chief Arnson. Someone definitely made a mistake, he says. No one knows what the outcome of that mistake might be for them, Arnson said. Police are trying to determine whether the bundle was transported by an aircraft or by a pilotless drone, which is obviously more and more popular. It's hard to get busted with the drone if you're remotely connected to it via some radio link. So Maya Donnelly said she thinks that it's unlikely someone will come looking for the drugs, which are now in police custody. They arrested said drug package. Arnson agreed, but said police have boosted patrols in the Donnelly's neighborhood for now. Family's going to have to pay the estimated $500 in repairs as well as pay for the new home for their German Shepherd Hulk. Really, it's his home? You're keeping him in a damn pet carrier? Are you serious? I've seen the pictures. It's a pet carrier. It's not a dog house. It's a crate. It's a transportable crate is what it is. You Texans. Oh, you silly Texans. Where it landed was clear on the other side of the house from the bedrooms, Maya Donnelly said. We're lucky in that sense. Friends and family also have gotten a laugh. Several joked that the couple could have profited from the surprise package. That's what everybody says. Why did you call 911? Why, Maya? Why? Maya Donnelly said, but how can you have a clear conscience, right? We could have made lots of home repairs with that. I don't know. Isn't it in the Southern culture's mindset? Do things right. You know, if that was your marijuana, the good Lord would want you to give it back to its rightful owner, Mr. Policeman. Mr. Policeman owns that marijuana. It came from Mr. Policeman. I'll bet you Mr. Policeman raided that from somebody's house, got it in his police aeroplane, and whilst struggling with the criminal inside the aeroplane, dropped the package of marijuana through our carport. It's our duty, under the rebel flag, to hand over that dirty devil's weed back to the Mr. Policeman who owned it in the first place.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Cannalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Cannalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Cannalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Cannalock.com. Visit Cannalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571. Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki.
Sacred Elements.
Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Door Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
Don't miss the first ever cannabis competition this year as the prize contest moves from Amsterdam to Jamaica. That's right, it's all Jamaican fun now with the Big Cup competition in Negril this November. Get your best travel accommodations now at JamaicaPot.com. Pack your beach bong and swimsuit and party down at the warm sandy beaches of Negril, Jamaica for the first ever big cannabis event this year. Do it in style or come have fun on a budget. Best travel prices now at JamaicaPot.com. That's JamaicaPot.com.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade, you got this.
We are misleading young people when we tell them that marijuana is just like having a beer. It's not. And the marijuana that kids are smoking today is not the same as the marijuana that Jeb Bush smoked 40 years ago. We do.
Really?
Sorry, Barbara.
Really? It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
I'm gonna need someone to help me. I'm gonna need somebody's hand.
You can find us here Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at thefullmelt.com, broadcasting live about cannabis news, information, culture, and lifestyle. That includes medical marijuana and hemp, I might add. Miss Carly Fiorina. Carly's been on a crusade lately. I don't know why I got my southern drawl on today. It's not a very good one, but I like to wear it sometimes because it's comical. It's comical, I'll tell you. I guess I feel like I've got free reign to do parody on southern stuff because all my family is from the southern states. So I want to talk as if I'm my family to Miss Carly Fiorina, who made waves at the last Republican presidential debate. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't do it anymore. When she delved into the marijuana policy debate, bringing up the relative danger between cannabis and beer, as well as the tragic death of her stepdaughter due to drug abuse. Now, wait a minute. Now, she doesn't say that she wasn't abusing the cannabis, and that's what she died from, right? Surely not, Miss Fiorina. Let's looky-see, shall we? Fiorina, who made many pundits feel won the second GOP debate, was taken to task by cannabis law reformers, including marijuana politics Russ Belville, who blogged, my friend and colleague Russ Belville, who blogged, "It's terribly sad when a parent loses a child for any reason." And I'm glad that he draws that line because it is. Let's underscore, please, the tragic death of Miss Fiorina's daughter or anybody that dies from drug abuse or drug addiction. It's a terrible, awful, horrible thing. No question about that. You'll not find anyone in America arguing against the idea that drug abuse is a bad thing or that people who die from drug use and that's bad. But so I'm glad that he underscores this idea, much less the preventable tragedy of drug overdose, Miss Fiorina. But marijuana did not kill your stepdaughter. Exactly, Mr. Belville. Marijuana did not kill your stepdaughter. According to the account in your book, Lori Fiorina struggled with alcohol and prescription pills, as well as the eating disorder bulimia. Nobody told you about that, did they? And now you know. The rest? No, okay. You are misleading young people, ma'am, when you equate your stepdaughter's death from highly addictive substances and mental illness to an herb that is incapable of producing fatal overdose, even in the tiny minority of its consumers who develop psychological dependence upon it. Yes, let's tell the young people the truth. It's misleading to tell them that marijuana is just like having a beer because it's far less dangerous than that. Objectively, Ms. Fiorina, in every measure, marijuana is safer than alcohol. You cannot continue to peddle this reefer madness hysteria in the age of Google and expect to maintain credibility with young people. End quote. As Russ notes, Fiorina attempted to mislead the American people with two rather reckless false statements. that alcohol is safer than marijuana and that marijuana is a gateway drug that led to her daughter's death. Unfortunately, Fiorina added yet another dangerous statement last Friday at an Iowa voter forum. Shelley Van Winkle, a Gulf War veteran and a nurse, asked the former Hewlett-Packard CEO what she would do to make it easier for qualified patients like veterans battling post-traumatic stress and children suffering from cancer to access medicinal cannabis. Think Progress covered the back and forth. You're not going to like my answer, Fiorina responded before hearkening back to her breast cancer diagnosis in 2009. Oh, you can't tell me, right? I mean, that's the position she's taken. Don't you tell me about cancer. I am a breast cancer survivor. The only Republican female candidate for presidency of the United States. Don't you tell me. That's the shield she's holding up. I mean, isn't it? I mean, wouldn't you agree with me? Can't you agree with me on that? At the same time, she recounted her doctor asked, quote, if I was interested in medicinal marijuana, end quote. I said no. And his response was good because it's a chemically complex compound that we do not understand. We do not understand how it reacts with chemotherapy and all of the other statements, she said. It's true today that before you get chemotherapy, you cannot have any marijuana in your system for at least 30 days. Van Winkle interrupted. That's no longer true, she said. Fiorina paused. So I will also tell you something else. We lost a daughter to addiction, Fiorina said. Oh, if my other shield doesn't hold true because there's a bunch of holes and it won't hold water anymore, then I'm going to hold up my other shield, my dead daughter. Before recounting the death of her daughter due to drug and alcohol abuse. As many of us feared, Carly Fiorina, who had been rather sensible on cannabis policy, seems to have doubled down on reefer madness rhetoric that is contrary to her previous public positions, as she's seen in her polling numbers rise after the last GOP debate. Dangerously, Fiorina has now implied that alcohol is safer than marijuana, that cannabis somehow contributed to her daughter's addiction issues and unfortunate death, and that cancer patients battling through chemotherapy couldn't gain any benefit from utilizing cannabis. Shame on you, Miss Fiorina. While stating that patients shouldn't rely upon cannabis alone, the American Cancer Society notes that some patients can indeed benefit from cannabis. The ACS? Are you serious? A number of small studies of smoked marijuana found that it can be helpful in treating nausea and vomiting from cancer chemotherapy, cites the report. A few studies have found that inhaled, smoked, or vaporized marijuana can be helpful treatment of neuropathic pain caused by damaged nerves. Smoked marijuana has also helped improve food intake in HIV patients in studies. Look, I don't have to tell you about the studies. I can tell you from my own experience. Anecdotal as you may consider it. I don't need the evidence of a study. I've walked that maze. Don't you tell me, Miss Fiorina. Don't you tell me. When pressed on the changing science, politics, and culture shifts on cannabis, it appears that Fiorina will fall back upon the heartbreaking story of her stepdaughter's death. An emotional, personal story that can be heard to combat any time. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that again. An emotional, personal story that can be hard to combat at any time, particularly on a debate stage, live on national TV. No one wants to seem uncaring. But it's important that we base our drug policies on science, isn't it? And on fact, not on emotion. While most experts, pundits, and casual political observers will agree, Carly Fiorina has a very slim chance of becoming the next president of the United States. Thus, we will inevitably receive comments and emails about why we're even wasting our time covering Fiorina's positions on cannabis. Well, Fiorina could certainly be the vice presidential pick of the GOP nominee, as she's proven her debate chops and national standing, not to mention the fact that the Republican Party may be inclined and attempt to increase its standing amongst women, although that didn't work so well with the ill-fated nomination of Sarah Palin, did it? Carly Fiorina's marijuana rhetoric is dangerous both culturally and politically. Culturally, her positions basically favor alcohol and pharmaceutical narcotics over cannabis. By every measure, alcohol and narcotics such as OxyContin are more deadly than cannabis. It is reckless to push people into using drugs that can actually cause a fatal overdose over at least trying a substance that won't cause an overdose death. Fiorina's recent statements may have a detrimental impact on the growing number of states looking to legalize cannabis over the next few years, both for medicinal purposes and adult use as well. The key voting bloc on marijuana tends to be so-called, quote, soccer moms. It's the soccer mom vote that matters. Marijuana legalization is usually favored by a majority of men, while women tend to, be more a little skeptical. I mean, we get the kids running around. You got to think about the kids. The soccer moms, they're the vote that has the linchpin on this subject, don't they? The soccer mom vote becomes key because these moms tend to be progressive on other issues like marriage equality and protecting the environment. So they're a natural political ally. But I'm telling you, according to this article, these soccer moms, many of whom have used marijuana in college, may feel conflicted about legalizing marijuana now that they have children, trotting out outdated fears about the gateway theory, about how dangerous today's marijuana is, and may sway moms who don't have the time to research the fact that these reefer madness positions have been debunked. Throw in Carly Fiorina's false contention that cancer patients can't benefit from cannabis, then many moms who will sympathize with Fiorina's personal story may just conclude that don't support medical cannabis as well. A sincere and heartfelt thanks to Shelley Van Winkle, someone who's risked her life for this country and is brave enough to take on the rising GOP political star. It is impressive. These cannabis reform law people, it's very imperative that they and everyone that supports policies based on science to challenge the reefer madness rhetoric of all the 2016 candidates. Rand Paul is the reasonable voice on the Republican stage, but he can't do it alone. We've got to continue to discredit the false statements and bad policy positions that have since been espoused by Carly Fiorina, Chris Christie, and Marco Rubio. We've all made too much progress towards sensible cannabis policies to allow for dangerous reefer madness rhetoric, to stop the implementation of policies that will remove marijuana from the unregulated criminal system into one where we can protect patients and better prioritize our limited resources towards treatment and prevention instead of wasting taxpayer dollars on mass incarceration. It's gotten out of hand. I mean, the statistics are just staggering. I mean, they're stunning. I could give you adjectives all day long that blow my mind about, I don't know, how backwards this could have gotten. That I don't know, it's almost like remember the McCarthyism of the 50s? Does anybody remember this story from history? Is it just me that remembers these things? I mean, there are a lot of, learned people who understand this and overlook this. This is beyond them. But that's exactly the application, this hysteria that took place in the 50s about socialists, about those commie bastards. I mean, these were our allies only some 10 years earlier. They helped us win World War II, remember? Soviet allies. And then, now that the big bad Germans have been killed, we need to seek out some new big bad guy to be afraid of and build up our military over. And that started the whole Cold War, didn't it? I mean, the end of World War II was the beginning of the nuclear age, and that began the Cold War. It didn't end until Reagan started a new war. And what was that war on? Pray tell, pray tell. Coot. Could it have been cannabis? Cannabis. I think it may have been. Why, we found flowing liquid cannabis on Mars today. Flowing liquid cannabis. Okay, it's not flowing liquid cannabis. It may be alien spooge, though. It might be alien jizz. I'm just saying it was wet, flowing, and salty. You tell me what it was. What it is. Is it alien jizz? I don't know. I got to throw some news in. I think it's a fascinating thing that NASA announced today. So shame on you, Miss Fiorina. I just got to put that exclamation mark on that package. Stop using your dead daughter and your, cancerous breasts, all tragic as they may be, empowering and overcoming those issues as you may have felt, brave as you are. They are not a shield to this issue, this misinformation you've thrown out about marijuana. But I think it's a great thing. It's an awesome thing that in today's day and age, where you've got Matt Damon going in a new popular film about landing on, subsisting at, and getting back to Earth from the planet Mars, orbiting our sun closer than we, may have a living chance to take place in reality. This is what we look for when we watch things like Star Wars and Star Trek and all these futuristic things about what happened with computers and technology and space and our quest for life and where we came from, and are there others in the universe like us? I'll just give you a little trip about the Dogon tribe. The Dogon tribe was a tribe over there in, the African continent, that one day way back when, in early recorded history, started talking about this bipolar star system. And the information they were talking about in this bipolar star system was not obtainable by current scientific methods. And some say that weed came from aliens. I'm not kidding you. The Dogon tribe talks about marijuana in their culture. And they're tied to this information about this bipolar star system, this binary star system, where you could only detect it with critical new equipment. In this day and age, they knew this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
You're getting the full melt.
Get ready, let's go. Hey, na, 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 na. Oh, hey, now, let's go. Yeah, I've got style. I'll make it wild. I'll change it up and switch it up so versatile. I'll be myself and I'm gonna let everybody know.
We have the latest styles to mix it and mash it. So make it your own and bend the trend. JCPenney. When it fits, you feel it. During the JCPenney Back to School Hot Sale, get an extra $10 off when you spend $25 or more with coupon. Nike, Converse, Levi's, and other exclusions apply.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade, you got this.
Don't miss the first ever cannabis competition this year as the prize contest moved from Amsterdam to Jamaica. That's right, it's all Jamaican fun now with the Big Cup competition in Negril this November. Get your best travel accommodations now at JamaicaPot.com. Pack your beach bong and swimsuit and party down at the warm sandy beaches of Negril, Jamaica for the first ever big cannabis event this year. Do it in style or come have fun on a budget. Best travel prices now at JamaicaPot.com. That's JamaicaPot.com.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
We ask people to tell us something that happened in their past and something that might happen in their future. The good things were put on yellow magnets and the bad ones on blue. The results show the past was a pretty even mix of good and bad, yet the future was almost all good things. Now that you've seen the results of this experiment, what does it mean to you?
We all want to think about positive stuff.
Realistically, there will be down times.
It's great to think optimistically, but let's plan for whatever the future might bring.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Really easy to subscribe to the Full Melt Show on iTunes. Get a copy of the show every single day. Just go to thefullmelt.com. Right there at the top, find the iTunes link. Click and subscribe. It's just that simple. So I got to tell you, there's this, I want to give you this bit about Dab-o-ween. Gosh, I hope I have time to squeeze in about Dab-o-ween. I just want, let me tell you this. I know they still need some sponsors for the Dab-o-ween event. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you can contribute a small cash donation between like $100 and $400, there are some advertising opportunities at this Dab-o-ween event. It's going to be a blowout. I think everybody who's core to the community in this state will be there. It's kind of a bury the hatchet party. It's happening in Mount Morris. Thank you, Steve and Jacob Lull, for putting up the place up there. I don't have the information in front of me, so forgive me for not giving the name of the place, but everybody knows about this event. Everybody knows about it. It's a free event. It's being put on and I think it's a brilliant idea. The idea here is that I think in many states you've seen policy go by the wayside as it relates to activism, where they've had unsuccessful attempts at legalization or at medical marijuana runs because the people who are trying to get it done can't agree about how they want to get it done. See, rather than sticking together on the things that they agree about and hashing out the details later once they've got the policy done, they do the other way around. They want to hash out the details of the politics, all the detailed crap, and then they end up splintering, having different points of opinions, different views. Things get heated. People point fingers. And rather, united we stand, divided we fall. They end up failing because they're all divided. And I think this community is no different than any other in this state. Or this community in this state is no different than any other in any other state. When it comes to being fallible to this BS, it's nonsense. Part of what you do in politics is give and take. Part of what you have to do is compromise if you want to move an issue forward. If everybody stood still on the sidelines and refused to budge, you would never get this issue done ever, or any other issue. Political forwardness calls for compromise. As unpopular as it may be, there are going to be some people that are very unhappy about some of this compromise. But in order to get the issue done, the part that we all stand in agreement upon, some compromise must take place. It's simply a fact of life that you have to make some sacrifice in your staunch position to get some moderation in the overall application of your position. It's the only path forward. It's part of democracy. You cannot deny it in this political environment, in this capitalist democracy. It's how we do things in America. If you don't like it that way, then go someplace else where you can dictate it, if you can make it up to that level of government. I mean, governance requires a sharp sword and a swift bullet. Go beat Saddam Hussein somewhere and tell people how things are going to be. Here we vote on things, and in order to get things done, we have to compromise with the opposition side in order to get it forward. This is what we lack in Congress. And so part of this Dab-o-ween thing is about burying the hatchet amongst ourselves so that we can get back to the basics about the part that we all agree upon. Because if you took all the splintered groups that want to, the marijuana like tomatoes people, or the marijuana like wine people, or the people who want to no taxes, or the people who want to have good, strong regulation in a tightly controlled environment, or the people who are for big business, there's those guys too. Big business can do it best. They've got the most to invest to do this right. We're experienced in doing things right for the general public. Let us have our hands in that pie. Why didn't you come out and support us before? Anyways, these different groups, if you overlapped the circle of what they believe this should be, if you overlapped all those circles so that the part we're in agreement upon is in the middle would be the vast majority of all those circles. There would only be small parts of the other circles hanging outside of the middle part that is all the circles together. The part where the circles don't overlap, where they're excess to the overlap, those are little tiny slivers in the overall. So why would everybody let those little tiny slivers get in the way of getting the spotlight the way it is there on the map? Why would they let it get in the way of that getting done? And they do. There's been evidence of it in previous, electoral processes in previous years, previous political campaigns in other states where they divided and fell. We have spent too much energy and too much time being beaten up by the politics of that issue in this state, and we don't want to let that happen. So we want to get everybody back together and look at the part that we all agree upon, the vast majority of those circles that overlap, and get everybody on the same page about one direction. And even if everybody goes off in their own political realms, that we still stand in agreement that we're all brothers and sisters together in this subject if you're an activist or if you're an advocate. I consider myself an advocate. I don't consider myself an advocate, an activist, because I don't think I've ever made a political sign about this. I mean, I think I may at one time have picked up a sign somebody else made for me because it said what I wanted it to say. But I've never made a sign. I've never stood in outrageous garb and got on a soapbox and started preaching about this in open public. I've just gone in support of a cause. And part of my, advocacy is just the truth in the matter. Getting the truth about these subjects out. It can't be done unless everybody's on the same page, and that's what this Dab-o-ween event is about. So if you want to support good, clean, free, fun politics and a good time for the cannabis community here in Michigan, who's been slain by that sword again and again, and it was intended as a shield. Isn't that a shield coming up there? Oh, it slobbed his head off. That is not a shield. That is a sword. What happened to our law? We've been letting that blood for eons, it seems. 7+ years now. It's done. It ends here. We all agree about this. We're going to be friends, and we're going to shake hands and dismiss ourselves of past arguments. That's what this event is about, is to get everybody in that brethren again. Everybody and their brethren get together. Have some kind of communion. Have some kind of brotherhood. It's important. So that's my Dab-o-ween bit. I wanted to talk about, hey, where is it at? And there's no politics, and there's no vendors, and there's nobody selling anything out there. Anything that you're going to get is for free. Nobody's asking for a damn thing from you. If you want to go out there, you got your medical card, you're welcome to come in, have your ID and your card or your paperwork there. There's goodie bags. There's people giving stuff away. Of course, there will probably be dabbing galore. I'm sure everybody's got their cannabis with them. It's a cannabis-friendly event, obviously. It'll be a good time. There'll be music. And there is a costume party. Both men and women have prizes for each respective category. Best costume, $200 cash prize. There will be other giveaways. So it's going to be a good time. Everything, food and refreshments provided. I think it's catered, but with some really nice food, really nice refreshments. No alcohol's allowed. Dab-o-ween, look it up on Facebook. Dab-o-ween with a dash around the O's. O in the middle. Dash around the O. So I wanted to tell you about that. Now, again, I got to. This is for my people in Michigan. I've only got a couple of minutes to talk about this, but I thought it's significant enough to bring up. It's about some time that somebody did this in the city of Warren. It seems today that a lawsuit was filed, according to the Detroit Free Press and my friend Bill Leitner over there. My colleague writes, lawyers sue city of Warren over medical marijuana law. Dateline, Warren. A Warren lawyer filed a lawsuit today against the city of Warren that demands up to $5 million in damages on behalf of 23 state-approved medical marijuana users who say they've been harassed and ticketed by Warren police. The lawsuit filed in Macomb County Circuit Court by attorney Michael Grenier also claims that Warren zoning officials, Police Commissioner Harry Green, and Mayor Jim Fouts cooperated in a policy to shut down a medical marijuana transfer center, the Michigan Safe Transfer Center at 29601 Hoover, in an area zoned for medical office by means of a police raid and confiscation of the owner's property without a search warrant. See, this is what they do here. What shield? You have no shield. This is a sword. Behold, I stab thee. The suit also claims that police on September 17th and September 18th stopped each car leaving the transfer center and questioned drivers in what constituted an illegal roadblock and illegal searches, and then raided the center on September 18th. Grenier said that the transfer center, of which he is a 50% partner, allows caregivers to provide medical cannabis only to patients who are officially registered with the state as a medical marijuana user. We're not a walk-in clinic. That's why you can't call us a dispensary, says Grenier's a business partner, Brian. Instead, the Warren business has been scrupulous about observing a state requirement that registered medical marijuana caregivers provide the drug only to the 5 patients whose names they have listed with the state's Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. Michigan's Medical Marijuana Act says that a state-approved caregiver can dispense only up to 5 users, and they must have their names registered with the state as being linked to that caregiver. In contrast to medical marijuana dispensaries, such as those shops for which Detroit City Council is considering passing a licensing ordinance, generally sell to anyone possessing a state medical marijuana card. The Michigan Safe Transfer Center is located at the rear of Grenier's law office. Oh ho! Although Warren has no special ordinance on the books governing medical marijuana in the city, leaders and police have conducted an unwritten policy opposing the lawful cultivation and transfer of medical marijuana, despite state law to the contrary, the lawsuit claims. Warren officials didn't return calls Monday asking for comment. The complainant quotes Warren's chief zoning inspector as having said to one defendant, "We don't want those kinds of people here. Tell me that Michigan somehow hasn't become Texas."
You're getting the full melt.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart, And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Got something to hide? Cannalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Cannalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Cannalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Cannalock.com. Visit Cannalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release. We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade, you got this.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio Show.
I mean, why do we do this? Why do we spend so much time and attention focused around this strange little thing we call the weed? People seem to be fascinated by this strange and elusive little creature that grows almost anywhere the sun shines. I mean, it's a fascinating plant, it is. I can tell you that I had no particular fascination with this plant before I was one day exposed to it. When were you exposed to cannabis first? Was it introduced to you by a friend? By an adult? Did you seek it out and steal it from somebody? Did you sneak it out of somebody's stash? A brother, a sister, a relative, a friend? What happened to me, I can tell you that as a youngster, I had no particular desire to seek out marijuana. It had been offered to me many times on my walk home from school. Hey, man, let's, you want to go blow a joint? I was like, wow, you got weed? Okay, well, I'm really good. I'm okay. I'm just going to keep walking that way. I don't really need the weed. I wasn't afraid of it. It wasn't something that bothered me. I didn't view it as dangerous. Still do not. But I had no real experience with it outside of what I've been told in school, which also didn't seem to demonize marijuana. It seemed to give me factual information at the time and made me kind of inquire about it even more. Go look up what they didn't tell me in school. Go to the library and dig it up with a card catalog and do an actual bit of research in a library environment. Do they have those anymore? I know they have them. Does anybody use a card catalog anymore? Are those old, benign pieces of wood laying in the scrapyard in the back of the library office of the janitory room? It's still full of those damn cards with old fingerprints on them and smudged up and some smoke-laden. Remember when you could smoke in the library? It's just weird how time marches on and things change. You might have been able to go and look up about marijuana. To me, I was exposed by a friend whose father was growing marijuana behind the pool because the pool would obscure it from the road. It was an above-ground pool with a deck and some, other fencing, privacy fencing, so to speak. And it obscured the cannabis growing, his little pocket weed grow behind the pool. And I'm sure that the quality of the marijuana was not to be spoken of. I'm sure that it was mostly leaf and not very quality. I remember that it grew tall and straight. I saw it but once, I think, before it came down. And the next time I heard of it, it was in a bag in my friend's, it was in a brown paper bag in my friend's hands. And my parents, or my, mother and the rest of the family had gone off on a family vacation, leaving me behind to tend the house on my own. And so my friend, who lived only around the corner from me, came over with his little brown bag of pot leaves. I mean, it was just leaves. But I remember having rolled and smoked it there at the kitchen table. My mother would have freaked out if she knew what we were doing. Because to her, marijuana is the same thing as cocaine or LSD or heroin or any other harsh addictive drug. To her, when you say drugs, these are all the same thing. They all do the same thing. They all have the same effect. They all cause the same disease. They are demonic and possessed. They need to go. That is the mantra. That is the label that has been ascribed. She's never had experience. She's never been around. She's never, been faced with the truth about these subjects. It's easy to be afraid of what you're not familiar with. But, as it seemed, I remember rolling and smoking that marijuana. And then sitting back, and in the seconds that followed those initial puffs, looking at my friend who, in harmony, started giggling with me to oblivion. We giggled our little asses off, we did. And I remember thinking so much at the time, the thing that was funny wasn't the fact that we were smoking weed. It wasn't that I was so high I couldn't stand it and I had to giggle. The thing that I was laughing about, that now I knew why everybody giggled when they were on marijuana. There was something so intoxicating about giggling the first time you smoke some weed. It's just like the spice of the high. The more spice you put on, the better it tastes. Give me a little bit more of that giggle. And it's probably something that will never, ever, and has not since occurred again. And so, I don't know. I never hearken back to. I don't romance to that position. I suppose if it was a stronger, much more addictive drug, I might throw some romance on that stone. But it's just a little weed, and it wasn't very good weed at that, although it did get me high enough to giggle my little ass off. And really, in thinking back, I have to preclude what I have to strike for the record everything that I just said, because it was not my first, I guess that was my first experience with marijuana. It was not my first exposure to it. That happened by my neighbor, who at the time thought that it was interesting that I was young and in radio broadcasting and in high school, and that I was a well-founded, well-spoken, well-adjusted, contributing member of society as I should be, and that he wanted to take me under his wing and do stuff that maybe I didn't have a dad to do with me. So he took me off to a concert out in the woods. It was deep in the woods, and it was just this little shack out there. I mean, it was just, I couldn't even believe that there was electricity in this shack, but who would have strung a wire that long into the woods? I didn't see any telephone poles or towers or anything that this electricity could be coming from. There was just a box on a tree with a meter on it. I think nowadays they probably make you put a piece of wood on that tree before they put a meter on it. Back in those days, there was just a meter on a tree. And the wires went from that tree, which is so weird, over to the shack. And the shack was just this little wooden, it was not much bigger than a doghouse, I tell you. Okay, it was maybe like twice the size of a bus stop. But it was broken down. It was like something you'd see out of Beverly Hillbillies. And up on that stage was a group of people with their shiny instruments playing rock and roll music. It wasn't anything that I was really familiar with. It wasn't anything that I had any particularly fancy to listen to. It was interesting. It was fun. It was uproarious. It was upbeat. It was social. All things that I was unfamiliar with. But so was the smell of marijuana wafting through the crowd, standing under the trees and the leaves in the woods. For, there's really no concert security. There's no man with a badge. There's no guy with some cuffs. There's no guy with a radio standing by to haul you off into that place they call jail. For your little attempt to have fun at the concert, I remember smelling that marijuana and smelling it and thinking, that must be weed. That has to be the thing that they call weed. How could it not be? I'm sure that that's exactly what it is. I have this romance now that I have to seek out.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.